Hi, and welcome to another Excel tutorial. This is Steve, and in this video we're going to be talking about the new additions to Microsoft Excel. And to start off the conversation, one of the things that Microsoft has done is it's rebranded the Office 365 suite, and it's now calling it Microsoft 365. So you'll see that around, and there are a lot of new things in Excel with 365. And this video is just going to be kind of a quick summary of them. I'm not going to teach you how to use each one of them, but I'm just going to do a shotgun blast of a lot of them so that you know what's out there. Okay, so first let's talk about some of the new functions. And we'll just dive into an example and I'll show you some of the functions. The first one, and probably the biggest one, is XLOOKUP. So we start there and then hit tab, and that is XLOOKUP. And XLOOKUP basically is Microsoft's answer to VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, index and match, kind of all the things that we've had to use in combination with each other, jumping through hoops and whatnot. And it's basically going to work to kind of replace them all. Not only can it look up values in a list, it can return values from a column or row. So it covers basically VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP in the same function. But it also works like index and match, where you can use an array. You can do reverse column lookup, which means you go find a lookup here and then you move backwards. And then finally, it can return an entire row of data. So if I'm doing a lookup for column A, then it can bring back this entire row. So it's very powerful and very versatile, and it's just kind of a huge change. Let me escape out of that. And then there's another advanced lookup function, which is XMatch. So that's XMATCH. And you can see here it returns the relative position of an item in an array. So that one's not as groundbreaking as XLOOKUP, but just wanted you to know it's there. Another huge one in a group of dynamic array functions is filter. And so that allows you to filter a range or array using a formula. So that's a big new one. And then in the list of dynamic array functions, I'll just go through the other ones because they're not as groundbreaking, but you have unique, you have sort by, you have sequence, and you have rand array. So you can check out any of those. Those are all new functions. There's also a new ifs, that's IFS, and there's max ifs and min ifs. So a bunch of new ones to work with, but I would say the two that stand out the most are probably XLOOKUP. Well, for sure XLOOKUP, but also filter. That's a big one. Okay, so those are the new functions. One awesome new feature is data types, and I'll dive into a new example to show you how data types works. This one is pretty awesome. It basically connects you to the internet right in your data. And to get to data types, you go to the data tab, and then you've got your data types right here. And currently I've got stocks. So in other words, you can type in a stock name and then look up the stock data here. And we've got geography. So you can type in a city name and then look up the geography information for it. And I would imagine they'll add more data types as things go. We'll just see how that goes. But if you go ahead and highlight these, you could highlight just one if you wanted to. But then you go to the data types and you just click on geography. You'll see it puts this little data sheet in here. And then it also puts this little guy over here where we can add additional data, which is totally awesome. So you can click here and it'll actually show a card telling you a bunch of data on Seattle. You can do the same thing over here with Portland. So it'll actually give you the picture, gives you a link, gives you all the data. You can scroll down to see more, population, all that cool stuff. If you click on this and right click and go to data type in the menu bar here, and you go to change, it's actually going to bring up a whole data selector window over here, and you can select whatever version of Portland that you want. We'll get rid of that for now. And then another awesome thing is we can highlight all of these, and this is just formatting down here. But this one, you just hit the button there and it brings up these different fields, and you can choose whatever data type you want to introduce into this next column. So say we want to know what the country or region is, we just hit that and it says United States. Let's say we want to find another one. I like population, hit population, and it puts the population in. Expand that so it looks better. And that gives you the current population, right? So Seattle, 729,000, New York, 8 million. And then you can just go crazy with this with whatever you want and so on. So that's a kind of cool way to just bring data into your spreadsheet like that. And then if you want to get rid of that, you select it, right click on it, go to data type and say convert to text. And it's going to just bring it back to normal text. Then I'd have to delete these fields or these columns. And you've got your data back to normal. Let's talk about a really awesome feature, which is really subtle, but you may know this, but when you select some data like this, and then you hit Control and select some more data, and hit Control and select some more data, and hit Control and select some more data, if you suddenly change your mind and don't want this part selected, then unfortunately what you have to do is either hit Escape or click on a cell, and then you have to go back and redo all those selections, right? But they've just changed it so that you can actually deselect cells now. So let's say we have this all selected again, and now I want to get rid of this. Instead of having to start over, I just hold Control again, click on those same cells, release, and now they're deselected. So you can go in and add cells. You can go back and delete cells. I'm just holding the Control key. You can add them back in. There we go. You can add that guy if you want. Go, add it. So that's a cool little just trick that you can use. To deselect again, you just hit Escape. Or I'm sorry, Escape doesn't work in this case. You just have to click a cell. Okay, the next one is sound cues. This one's pretty funky. Initially, I'm not sure if I would like it, but you do have the option of adding this to your system. And with this feature, if you set it up in Excel, it's going to work in all of your other Microsoft 365 things like PowerPoint and Word and stuff like that. So that's important to keep in mind. But to set it up, you go to File, go to Options, go to Ease of Access, and then it has feedback options here. And then you go Provide Feedback with Sounds, and you can pick your sound scheme, Modern or Classic, and then you click OK. And I don't have my speaker plugged in, so you might not be able to hear this. But when you do things like copy and paste, like Control-C and Control-V, it makes sounds to indicate that you've done that, which can be nice because sometimes you don't know whether you've succeeded at something. And probably the most significant one I can think of is when you save something. When you click on Save, it'll make a sound to indicate that you've done it, which could be helpful. It could also be really annoying if you're making a lot of noise and bugging your cubicle mate, but that's how you turn it on. Of course, if you need to turn that back off, then you go to Options, Ease of Access, and just click there and say OK, and you're good to go. Okay, another one, I'm going to go into a different example here just so we have a spreadsheet with a range on it, and this one is recommended pivot tables. And you go to Insert, and then the recommended pivot tables is right here. This is similar to the older version. Remember recommended charts? You click on that and it'll tell you some ideas for charts. Same here. You go to recommended pivot tables, you select your range, click OK, and it's going to give you a bunch of different things. So like it says sum of total by customer name. Pretty basic. It gives you a good pivot table though and tells you who ate the most snow cones, right? And you can scroll down here and find different ones. I'm going to cancel out of that though because I don't want a pivot table right now. But that's a quick and easy way to turn your data into a pivot table. And we're getting to the end here. The next one is the Share button, which is this guy up here. And this is sort of like Microsoft's answer to, Google Sheets, where a lot of people can collaborate together. What you do is you share it to OneDrive, and then it allows multiple people to access that. You can give them a link. I can actually do that. So you can use the link here. You can set a password if you want, an expiration date if you want, or you can enter somebody's email address or name and just connect them, share it straight inside the document. You can copy the link and send it to them. You have a lot of options for sharing. And then once that person has access to the document, they'll go in and they can work in the document, and you'll see their cursor show up in there doing the work, which is awesome. Okay, I'm going to just do one more, and that is CONCAT. So you're probably familiar with concatenate, and I'll just type the formula in here. Concatenate, right? That's the old version. The new one is just shortened to CONCAT. And this is basically going to replace concatenate. You can even see there's a little warning here saying like, maybe you don't want to use this because you want to use the new one. And it can do everything concatenate can do, but it can also concatenate a list or range. And I'll just show you how this works real quick. Let's hit tab. And we can actually take this whole list here, and then you just hit enter. And it just takes all those words and smashes them together into one big long list. Okay, so that's kind of a whirlwind tour overview of some of the new functions and features for Excel in Microsoft 365. I hope that you found them helpful. If you did, give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to learn a ton more, check out my full Excel course for beginners in the description below.